So I have been playing a lot of my Nintendo Switch recently, which has led me to look at my gaming library when it comes to the Switch. And obviously I have many Switch games. Kind of have a problem because I'm still buying so many Nintendo Switch games. But as I was looking at these games, I realized that the Switch hasn't exactly been perfect with its games. There has been disappointments from third party to first party, whether it be a bad port or just a very disappointing game overall. And I thought it'd be interesting to do a video where I'm showing you some of the titles that I thought were disappointing, where it could have been, hey, this was a really bad port, or this was just a really bad game, really wasn't working for me, was heavily disappointed. And I just thought the mixture of that sounded pretty cool because we don't see many people talk about all of the bad when it comes to Nintendo Switch. If we see someone talking about the bad, they're just looking at those shovelware titles, making a video on it. Here, I want to show some actual games and why it was a disappointment. This first one is one that I was massively disappointed about because I was highly looking forward to this. And I think many people, whereas these games were highly requested to come to the Nintendo Switch since the system came out. And when these games came out, when they were announced, everyone was excited because Warner Brothers said that these versions were made for the Nintendo Switch specifically. So they made Switch versions. They didn't make ports. A lot of people get confused with ports and specific versions. They claim that what we're about to show you right now was stuff that was made specifically for the Switch. And to me, I feel that they incredibly lied because it just does not make sense for all the issues that happened. That game being the Batman Arkham Trilogy. Now, I know that the Batman Arkham Trilogy is a lot cheaper now, so I do give this game a little bit more of its respect where I can say, hey, yeah, you can buy this now. But when this game came out, it was $60 because you're getting 3 games: Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. And there was some issues with almost all of the versions of these games except Arkham City. Arkham Asylum had some frame rate issues, wasn't too bad, but if you go into Arkham Knight, that game was crashing like crazy. Now, I know everyone's gonna be quick to point out that the type of game Arkham Knight is and how it crashed also on the PC when it came out on PC, and I think that is all fair complaints to be bringing up, but the issue is when they were promoting that these versions were made for the Switch, that these were enhanced versions that they built from the ground, this is where it starts to get dicey. Not to mention, these games have been rumored to come out for the Switch so long that when it was finally announced, people were under the impression that they developed these games for a super long time. So these were gonna be super quality ports of these games. And the only one that turned out to be super quality was Arkham City. But the thing you have to consider is that game was on 360 and PlayStation 3. So is it really an achievement that they were able to make such an incredible version of that game for the Nintendo Switch? There was so much wrong with this game, and I was so disappointed that I paid $60 because these were up there as my most requested Nintendo Switch games to come out to the system when it comes to third-party support. I know that they're continuing to update Batman Arkham Trilogy, giving updates to where they're trying to make the game run better, but it's just, how did you make Arkham Knight such an unplayable mess? It crashed on me when I was recording gameplay like 3 times, and I only played it for less than an hour. There was so many problems with this game, and it's just so disappointing because these games are truly incredible. If Arkham Knight couldn't run on the Nintendo Switch, why didn't you replace that with Arkham Origins? Or just do Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City? It did not make sense to put Batman Arkham Knight onto the Switch if this is what it was going to end up being. And because of that, this was one of the most disappointing Switch releases out there. And it's crazy to say that because Warner Brothers has really done the impossible with the Nintendo Switch. If you look at the history of the games that they've put on there, they put Dying Light. That shouldn't have been able to come to the Switch, but they made a really decent version of the game on the Switch. Hogwarts Legacy. The game looks rough, but they managed to put it on the Switch and it runs somewhat pretty good. I was heavily impressed with Hogwarts Legacy because that should have been the game that was crashing my Switch, not Batman Arkham Knight. Luckily, it's about a $20 game. Now, for $20, it's worth it for Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. However, if you're going to be playing Batman Arkham Knight, this is going to be one of those times that I can't recommend the Switch version. You're going to have to play it on another platform because these games are great, and especially Arkham City, you will love that. And most you can pay for this is $20. Anything higher than $20, forget about it. So a lot of y'all know that I am a big Walking Dead fan. I love The Walking Dead. We even had an opportunity to have Norman Reedus and Cooper Andrews on this channel earlier this year in a video, which was pretty cool. And when they announced that they were doing an AMC's The Walking Dead game on Nintendo Switch, I was super excited, especially with the concept of what The Walking Dead Destinies was going to be. This game was supposed to be where you were going to be altering the storylines of what was happening in the show, where there'd be different realities that you could have happen. So say, instead of this character dying, you can have the other reality happen where that person dies instead of what happens in the show. And this opened the door to so many things. They had announced that they were going to be doing the first 4 seasons in this game. And when they announced that, there's so much that happens in the show within that first 4 seasons that there's a lot that you could do with this game. And unfortunately, what ended up happening is that this game was developed by Game Mill Entertainment. Now, the thing I will say about Game Mill Entertainment is they have the potential to make good games. The issue is they do a bunch of licensed games, and these people that are paying for the license, like AMC, sending these licenses out to the companies, they are forcing these developers to release the game early. So a lot of Game Mill Entertainment's things, such as like King Kong, I know a lot of people are quick to point that one out from something that Game Mill Entertainment made. They were rushed to make that game. They were forcing Game Mill Entertainment to release that game, and it had less than a year of development time. Walking Dead Destinies had the same issue, which is annoying because if this was a quality title, this would have sold like crazy because everyone was talking about how this was such a cool idea because it kind of felt like a Telltale The Walking Dead game, which the Telltale series has been absolutely incredible. And you're doing it with the AM series, which the AMC series has done so many different things already compared to the comic books. This opened the door to go even further with that. So when this came out, I was very disappointed. And it was very interesting to see what they did with this game with its storylines. It's just graphically and gameplay wise, and some of the voice acting is all over the place. It's also interesting because they did bring back some of the cast to voice them, but then there was some of the people like who voices Rick, who does a horrible job, who's not Andrew Lincoln. It was interesting because they seemed to have a budget. They just didn't have enough development time to make this game be special. And it's disappointing because as you play through the story and see the ideas that they have, you can see what could have been. And what could have been something very special. I think they're probably going to be making sequels to this series because I think it sold well. People talked about it, but this was very hated online. And the Nintendo Switch version, it's one of those things that like I enjoy The Walking Dead so much that this felt like I was playing junk food in a way. You know how junk food is bad for you, but it's good to eat, or like, you know, you're enjoying eating it. It's kind of this game. This is junk food, but you're enjoying playing it because I guess what it is, the IP, the characters. The Walking Dead is very special to me, so it was cool to see this, but it was also very disappointing to play this because I saw what could have been and what could have been very, very special. And it sucks because this is one of the few Walking Dead games that is on the Switch, other than the Telltale series, of course. The next one has to be Little Town Hero. This is one that I had been paying attention to since it was announced. I'm pretty sure it was a different title at one point, could be losing my mind, but I was paying attention to this game back in, what was it, 2019 when this game was shown off? It really seemed like Game Freak was going to be making something very special here. Now, if you know Game Freak, they have so much with the Pokemon series, but a lot of people don't know that they have sometimes developed other things. And we've seen with the 3DS that Game Freak made some of their own IPs on. One of the games that I think of that was absolutely incredible was Harmo Knight. That was such a fun idea, a unique idea from Game Freak, that the gameplay just, it was incredible. And it really showed that Game Freak can be more than just Pokemon. So when they announced that another game that they were making was coming to the Nintendo Switch, and it was Little Town Hero, and with the stuff that they were showing off, this looked like it was going to be absolutely incredible. They even have Toby Fox doing the music in this game. The more and more that was coming out about this game with its footage, it just looked beautiful. This looked like it was going to be an incredible game. And then the game came out. It was very disappointing for one reason only, and that was its battle system. Obviously, the battle system is its main type of gameplay. So you are running into this battle system, and I was streaming my experience of playing this game, and It's a mess what the battle system is. At one point, it can be like a Mario Party game, but with a battle system. It is all over the place what this game's battle system is, and it sucks because you see the potential there as you're playing through the game. The game looks beautiful, the game runs amazing, the game storyline is somewhat interesting, these characters are cool, but then the main gameplay sucks. It was so disappointing to play, and as I was streaming through this game, my whole chat was like, what in the world? What is this battle system? How did they get away with this? How is this? What is this? This is a mess. One of the fights, because of how confusing the battle system is, ended up being an over an hour part of the game for me. I was at that part for over an hour live on stream. All of us was confused in the chat. And I'm sure for some people they can understand this battle system, but the fact that there was so many issues where everyone online talks about the main reason why this game sucked was because of the battle system, there's clearly an issue here, and it sucks because you see the potential there. Like, I remember playing through the first hours like, oh my god, we're playing something peak here, this is gonna be great, oh my goodness, and then the first battle happens and you're like, oh no. So many issues with that. It sucks because this is one of those things that could have been so good. Game Freak, what are you doing? Hopefully Game Freak goes back to Harmo Knight. That would be pretty cool if they could bring that back. But I know a lot of people didn't play that, but that was a pretty cool title. The idea was special. I think a Harmo Knight 2 would be pretty cool, or just remaster it since now no one can play it on the Nintendo 3DS. This next one was pretty disappointing for a majority of people because of the history surrounding this series. And while I haven't played much of this series, I was very excited for this game because this game looked absolutely beautiful. It looked like Nintendo knew what they were doing here for once. And that game was Mario and Luigi Brothership. Man, oh man. I make a lot of jokes where I fall asleep playing Shin Megami Tensei 5, and while that was very true that I fell asleep playing Nocturne and SMT5, I truly did fall asleep playing Brothership. I was in bed. It was like 11:30. I'm playing through the game, got YouTube playing in the background, I'm playing it in handheld, and I just literally in the middle of the battle, this game was so sleepy, so boring that I was just like, oh my goodness. And I woke up at like 2 a.m. I was like, oh wow, I've been holding my Switch for 2 hours. This game is a mess. This is a game that looks so beautiful on the Nintendo Switch. Graphically looks at one of the best Nintendo Switch games out there. And then so many issues. The game doesn't feel like it truly has a purpose of what you're doing. There's nothing motivating you to continue the story. It kind of feels like the same game all over. That the whole time that I was playing it, there was nothing motivating. There's so much dialogue, and I know everyone was talking about, hey, get through this part of the game and it gets so much better. I got through all of this and it still was getting worse. There was nothing that was like, ooh, this is interesting. I'm very interested to see where the story takes us here. There was nothing interesting about this game's story. This is such a disappointment, and it sucks because the Mario Luigi series is such a popular series for most. It has so many great games for a lot of people. A lot of people loved Superstar Saga. A lot of people love Bowser's Inside Story. This series is beloved by many people, and many people thought that this series was dead because of what happened with the team, I believe it was Alpha Dream. During COVID, they shut down. They had so much debt. Everyone assumed that this series was dead because the things that they were doing with the Nintendo 3DS just wasn't selling well. And we already know that this is not selling well on the Nintendo Switch, so this could very well be the last of the Mario and Luigi series. And it stinks that that's the case because this one sucked. Sounds like the 3DS ones were actually a lot better than what came out here. Also, another thing, I know this is going to be a minor complaint for most, but for me this was very noticeable. You hear so much of the same audio being used pretty fast, and it's kind of interesting that the new Mario and Luigi voice actor, they're already reusing clips so soon because he's just the new guy. He's only played Mario for what, like 2 games? They haven't recorded more dialogue than that. Very interesting to see what was going on there. Don't know why. And then also, I kind of want to talk about the battle system. Obviously, the Mario and Luigi series, you're used to pressing 2 buttons for Mario and Luigi. When it was coming to select your character, you were still using just 1 button. It was very confusing from a gameplay mechanic when you're having to dodge with Luigi by hitting this button, and then Mario but hitting the other button. It was a mess with the battle system. I don't know what they were doing there. I don't know. I did not like a lot of this game, and it stinks because it looked so beautiful and it looked like it could have been something incredible. And Nintendo, you messed up. I don't even know who did this one. Such a disappointment. And I know for a lot of the Mario Luigi fans, this was very disappointing. This next and final one on the list has to be Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers, I think, is a decent game, but when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, it is a mess on Nintendo Switch. A lot of people got mad at me playing Sonic Frontiers on the Switch when I did that review, but I told people to not buy Sonic Frontiers on the Nintendo Switch, that it sucked on the Nintendo Switch. And this is coming from a guy that plays his Nintendo Switch, he plays his third-party games, he loves playing his third parties on the Switch. This, in my opinion, kind of unplayable in ways. The pop-in is already an issue on other platforms, but imagine it being on the Switch way worse. It graphically looks really bad with the pop-in, and I even ran into the issues where I was dying because the game's pop-in didn't go in all the way. It did not load, and that was happening pretty often within Sonic Frontiers. Like I said, I think Sonic Frontiers as a whole is a good game, but if you're playing it on the Nintendo Switch, it sucks on the Switch. I think this is honestly one of the worst Nintendo Switch games out there. A lot of people get mad at me for saying that, but to me, with what I experienced, I feel like it's kind of unplayable. And I'm still trying to get through with all the issues that I'm having with it on the Nintendo Switch. It's interesting that this is so bad on the Switch because you would have thought they would have tried to make this one of the best versions out there, considering that the Nintendo audience was probably where it sold the best out of the main consoles out there. And with Sonic's track record on the Switch, I don't know how they ended up making this so bad. Luckily, Generations runs and looks amazing on the Switch, but it's hard to believe that if you look at what Sonic Frontiers is on the Nintendo Switch. I showed it to my friend Luke, who's been playing through all the Sonic games right now, and I don't think he truly believed me when I said Sonic Frontiers is not that great on Switch, because when I showed it, he was like, oh, wow. He was kind of speechless at times. I mean, I was even speechless. I was sharing my screen and we had that pop-in issue and we both were just like, wow. The quality you come to expect from Sonic games, I guess. All right, now I can put this back on the shelf. I know for many of you, you probably did not notice that, but now that I have pointed this out onto the video, you're gonna be like, wow, that is very noticeable now, if for whatever reason you decide to rewatch the video. Guys, I have been talking for way too much. That was 5 disappointing Nintendo Switch games. I wanna know what you guys think. Do you agree with the titles that I selected here? Do you guys have titles that you felt was disappointing? Let me know. It can be titles that were just really bad on the Switch, a bad port, or just a game that was nothing really wrong with it. It just was a very disappointing game overall. I would love to hear what y'all think in the comments down below. And let me know if you want to see something like this again in the future. There's a lot of Switch games on here that, you know, could have made it to the list, and I was just like, nah, we'll save it for a potential future video if people really like this. Because the Switch, it has a lot of titles, and it has some disappointment, and it has some bad Switch ports. You know, we could do a bad Switch ports video since we're done with the best. I don't know. I'm ready for the Switch 2 to come out. Oh my God. I'm having to do so much to make Nintendo Switch videos still. Guys, make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out our Twitter, check out the Discord server, check out our P.O. box, still receiving mail, kind of crazy. Once we receive enough letters and stuff, I'm gonna do a video on the P.O. box. It's gonna be exciting. Check out the Instagram, MONADO Marine membership, $5 a month. And I will see you guys in the next video. I don't know when this is coming out. Is it Christmas time still? Merry Christmas? Or is it Happy New Year? Or maybe this is coming out way after New Year and this is gonna be really awkward, me doing this outro. It's not Christmas yet when I'm filming this. Did y'all have a good Christmas? Or did Christmas already happen or didn't happen? I'm gonna shut up now. I'm just gonna hit the end record button. Bye!